start in 2 seconds when people have taken their seats. All right, great. Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to Queens College. I just love saying that. It's not often that I've said that. We've been in remote mode since I arrived here last July, so I've actually never welcomed a group to campus. So I appreciate that. This is a first. All right. And this is an important event for everyone in the borough of Queens. Even if you don't graduate from one of the CUNY colleges located in this borough, you probably graduate at one of the colleges. I know in our Colden Auditorium, we host many a commencement ceremony for the junior high schools and high schools of the borough. That's what all of these institutions are, anchor institutions. We serve the entire community, and we will continue to do that as we emerge from the pandemic. I'm so delighted to welcome you to this beautiful campus. Longtime friends, new friends, frequent visitors. This building that we're in, the Student Union, is an especially appropriate location for this press conference because the Student Union houses all of our campus clubs, organizations. It reflects our diverse student body. It's the multi-faith, multicultural, multilingual, multi-generational population that we serve. The Veterans Center is here, the Student Association offices, and welcome to the president of the Student Association, Zaire Kulat, who just won re-election. The Knights Table Food Pantry is housed here. That's been providing food during the pandemic to all CUNY students, both on campus and by distributing bags and gift cards throughout the neighborhoods. It's been so touching to visit the students. They come with their fathers, their mothers to pick up the bag of food. They're just so grateful for that support as we go through just this unprecedented occasion. The Student Union is also the designated site for early voting so that we can fulfill our responsibilities, exercise our rights. I know that's important. We had a pop-up clinic here earlier, just a few feet away, and we will be vaccinating once again this coming weekend. This is also where our students get a bite to eat, usually while on a laptop computer or with an iPhone in their hands. Multitasking is just about required for all of us these days. Well, I want to thank our honored guests, starting, most importantly, with the Queensborough President, Donovan Richards. President Richards was on campus touring some campus projects just recently, and we briefly visited with a prominent resident, a squirrel. If you haven't seen the photo of the two of us admiring the squirrel who's accosted us on the path, it's available on our Twitter account. The Borough President was also the keynote speaker for the CUNY Black Male Initiative Conference we hosted this year and gave opening remarks at our MLK Day celebration. We so much appreciate the Borough President and his whole team for joining us on site. We want to thank all of our dedicated elected officials. Every day, your support for public higher education as the engine of the American dream is critical to thousands of students, not only here, but at all the CUNY campuses throughout the borough. Speaking of CUNY, it's also a special pleasure to greet Chancellor Felix V. Matos Rodríguez and Senior Vice Chancellor Glenda Grace. This must be deja vu for you all over again, because I know that you know this campus well. Thank you for your outstanding leadership that you've provided in these challenging times. Finally, I'd like to extend the warmest of welcomes to my counterparts at the great CUNY institutions throughout the borough of Queens. They'll be recognized shortly by the Chancellor in formal terms. We're working together on so many projects to benefit the residents of the borough. Finally, in the audience, I see faculty and staff from our Family Nutrition and Exercise Science Department. It's called FINESSE. I'm mentioning them today because Borough President Richards visited the Food Science and Management Lab, a 2,000 square foot kitchen. It's just such a wonderful place for our students to be prepared for future careers doing essential nutrition work in hospitals and long-term care facilities and senior residences and high schools, restaurants. The dietitian and nutritionist programs are leading programs, and we're so proud of them. So it's a profound honor to be able to introduce a great champion of public higher education. Please join me in welcoming Queensborough President Donovan Richards.
Thank you, Frank, and it is an honor to be here this afternoon at the second, I think this is my second press conference as Borough President in allocating funds. Just last week, we announced almost $5 million to Elmhurst Hospital, which was the epicenter of this crisis. But one of the things I spoke of very early on coming into office was the need to ensure that we just weren't building back, but that we were building back Queens better. You know, there's this notion, and there's a lot of conversation about getting back to normal. But one of the things we've stressed is that we need a new normal here in Queens County. We were hit hard, and we need to make sure that we are not simply talking in rhetorical fashion, but that we're putting our money where our mouth is in a lot of these different areas where we saw the virus exacerbate. So as I've spoken to many of you, you know, the need to have food pantries on your campuses. I'm very grateful for the work that Queens College has done in this areas, but I've been hearing these stories over and over around the borough about students who are struggling to get through, and it sort of reminds me of my story coming into higher education, being the first to graduate from college in my family, which was not easy. It was a lot of struggles. I had to, like many of your students, encounter many struggles to obtain a college education. So I am confident more than ever with the leadership of all of you here that we're going to make it through this. Today is a great day, and I want to thank once again President Wu for your hospitality, for your staff, even to the squirrel. The squirrel was very lonely, I can tell you, on this campus, so I think the squirrel will appreciate when the students are fully back. But this is such a beautiful event, a beautiful day. I want to start off by thanking everyone for being here on this joyous occasion as we celebrate some great news for the amazing colleges of the City University of New York that are located right here in the Wardsboro. And let me just start by saying that this is the beginning of a relationship with you as we come in as Borough President. There are a lot of big needs across this borough, but we want to make sure that our CUNY institutions know that we are committed to you as well. You all know that the past 15 months have been extraordinarily difficult for everyone here in Queens as we struggle to cope with the COVID-19 pandemic. While nobody has had it easy during this pandemic, it's been especially tough to be a college student during these trying times. Most in-person classes were canceled and students were forced to learn in a virtual environment, which denies students the chance for the in-person interactions with faculty and fellow students that typically defines so much of one's college experiences. But I want to commend you all because I've heard the stories from college students about how nurturing you were even through virtual learning. So I want to thank the administrators and the professors and everyone else who made this tough, the faculty members, as you face the huge task of keeping your colleges running as smoothly as possible despite the many logistical challenges and financial burdens that have come with the pandemic. Thankfully, our borough and city have turned the corner regarding COVID-19, with Queens becoming the first borough to have 1 million people vaccinated. Come on, let's get a clap for that. Number one, and I want to thank my staff. If you need to send some people to get vaccinated, I think we even have vaccinations going on outside our office for the next 48 hours, so you can send people to get vaccinated. But I want to stress the importance of making sure that we run campaigns that have validators at the table as well to push our students to get vaccinated as well as they come in. I know there's a lot of controversy and debate around that. And this new normal includes some welcome funding for CUNY as we address some of the capital needs across Queens campuses through the budget allocations I will be announcing today. And of course, CUNY was founded in 1847. It's the nation's largest urban public university and has a mission to provide a public first-rate education to all students regardless of means or background. But if CUNY is to continue to fulfill its mission, it will need funding to support the capital improvements in needs to properly serve its hardworking and diverse student body, both now and in the future. And let me also point out that CUNY should see no cuts this year, and we'll be talking to Mayor de Blasio and our governor, because we should not be going back to normal. So this is why I am proud to be here today. And like I said, this is just the beginning of what we're going to do together as we move collectively together for the next 4 years. Well, I got an election. Okay, I won't be arrogant. That's why I'm proud today to announce my commitment to allocate $4.5 million to a series of projects that will greatly enhance the student experience here at CUNY. And this funding is slated to be included in the city's fiscal year 2022 budget, and my checks cash, they don't bounce. You never have to worry about that. And we will allow CUNY to continue to be a beacon of educational excellence and a transformative engine of social mobility that enriches every part of the fabric of our city. So first here at Queens College, let me talk about what we're going to do here. Led by Frank Wu and the Squirrel, I am allocating funds to go towards the renovation of the Food Science and Management Laboratory. This lab is used by students majoring in nutrition and dietetics and supports studies in food management and sustainability that strongly contribute to the culture, health, and well-being of our community. And I had the opportunity of touring that specific facility a few weeks ago and seeing students actually learning, so I am grateful to allocate funds there. Second, at Laguardia Community College, which is led by President Kenneth Adams and he's represented here by Sunil Gupta, LaGuardia's Vice President of Adult and Continuing Education. I'm allocating funds to go towards the construction of science and occupational and physical therapy labs, which will enable the college to provide more students with the training they need to succeed in jobs in the high-demand healthcare professions. Third, York College, led by our president, Dr. Johnson Eanes. I'm allocating funding, and I wore the mask because she's getting a soccer team at her college, which is great. First professional college team in the city, so give it up for York College. Sorry, I'm a Southeast Queens kid, so I'm a little biased. I am allocating funding to go towards the renovation of the college's outdoor track and field, which has become unusable due to subsurface soil erosion. Once the renovation is completed, the facility can be fully utilized by both students and local residents and will be able to host championship-level competitions. Last but not least, at Queensborough Community College, led by Christine Mangino, I am allocating funds for the construction of a new chemistry lab that will expand the college's research capacity and better enable it to attract a distinguished and diverse faculty and serve a growing student population. I am also allocating more funding to Queensborough Community College to go towards the modification. Who's here? Oh, I'm saving Barry money. That's why he's happy. I'm allocating money to go towards the modification of its restrooms so that they can conform to the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA for short. As many of you know, Queensborough serves more students with disabilities than any other CUNY college, and this allocation will help Queensborough meet its commitment to provide seamless, dignified, and equal access to all buildings and facilities on its campus to ensure that those with disabilities feel welcome and included. Altogether, these $4.5 million in allocations will go a long way toward enabling our borough's CUNY colleges to once again continue to offer a first-rate education for many decades to come. Our CUNY colleges truly are the pride of Queens, and it personally brings me great pride to stand here today with so many distinguished educators, elected officials, students, and community members who have made CUNY what it is today. I know you all join me in wishing all the best for our CUNY colleges, for all their students and alumni, and for all of their staff members. I said that already. Staff members, faculty members, and administrators associated with these outstanding institutions, which mean so much to everyone in our borough. I would now like to introduce someone who is no stranger to this place, someone who's risen to the occasion. He has a travel. Are you a Queens kid? Oh, sorry to hear that. But he's adopted. He's an adopted Queens kid. His passport is stamped when he comes to the borough, but we really appreciate him because he has been someone who's been an avid fighter for all of us in CUNY and really looking at things from an equity lens as well, and we really appreciate that. And of course, I have to shout out Jimmy Vaca as well. Was my colleague in the council who taught me so much when I came into the city council as well, so I have to acknowledge him before I bring the Chancellor up. But it now gives me great honor to bring up our CUNY and former president of Queens College, Dr. Felix Matos Rodríguez.
Speaking of passports, let me just, President Wu, my pre-check-in document. Yeah, it is. I told security at the gate that I was going to hand it to you personally. It's the only way they let me in. But so great to be home. Thank you for a great event, but also for a great opportunity just to see some faces of individuals that I truly love. I had the pleasure of working with as we get our life back in the city, and couldn't be at a better place than here at Queens College. I want to thank the Borough President, Donovan Richards, who has been a friend of the City University of New York prior to being Borough President, so he's just being consistent with a trajectory in his life as a public official of supporting public higher education, and thank you for prioritizing higher ed and CUNY, and look forward to working with you and your administration for years to come, and to allocate a lot of money and then come and cut some ribbons, right, when things get done, right? I know ribbons are always a good opportunity. Great to be joined by two elected officials who are longtime friends. Our council member here from the school, Councilman Genero, and yeah, you can give him some love, yes. And Councilman Barry Gordenchik, who, yes, thank you. Has a good habit of giving council money to the school in his district, but to the other CUNY schools. So the other CUNY presidents who are not in the district, you know that you have somebody there who really supports our mission here at CUNY. And the Borough President mentioned a longtime friend and former city council member, but more importantly now, a Queens College distinguished faculty member and an alumni, our good old friend Jimmy Vaca. So great to see Jimmy here. I thank President Wu for allowing me to come into his college, and what a great job he's been doing. I am so proud, as you can imagine, even though I've been blessed, and many of the new presidents that I have the pleasure of appointing are here with us today, but it was not easy to think about someone who was going to be at the institution that was so dear to my heart, and I have to say that Frank has exceeded all kinds of expectations with his great commitment, his leadership, and I am so incredibly happy and blessed to have you as part of the team. I now have to congratulate always the real president of Queens College, which is the student government president, right? So Sair Kulot, yes. Wonderful, and may you continue to win many re-elections and continue your great advocacy on behalf of students. I know that you are phenomenal, as many of the student leaders at CUNY and at QC have been. I feel incredibly blessed because I have been in Queens, even though we've been coming in the pandemic. We were at York a couple of weeks ago. We have President Bernicia Johnson-Eanes announcing the beginning of that new stadium for the Queensborough FC. So great to see you here, and happy to be again doing this. With President Mangino at Queensborough, we opened the food pantry a while ago. I was able to tour. Thank you also both for the work you've done. The borough president mentioned the fact that Queens leads all boroughs with vaccination. And I'm going to say that part of that has to do with the great job that your two campuses have done in opening up to the community vaccination sites. So thank you both for rising up to the challenge and doing that. And we have a new tradition at CUNY today. Vice President Gupta is president for the day. So we welcome, yes, and so enjoy all the perks that come with being president for the day, including complimentary dining service, courtesy of French College. I'll let each of the individual presidents tell their story about the projects that the borough president is supporting, and thank you so much. I do have to tell just one story, because you get the background info. On the science and the nutrition labs and facilities that the borough president is supporting here. Part of the story of that facility, I'm so happy, I got a call from the borough president a couple of weeks ago, and he says, talking about the allocation in all the campuses, and what should I do? You know the campus well. And I said, well, I don't know. I just heard that President Wu was in some kitchen there taping something, and he messed up some recipe big time, and he made a mess out of that laboratory and that kitchen there. I really think that the project you support is really redoing the entire labs and the kitchen there, because he messed it up good. So thank you so much for listening to my advice, because I saw Frank, in the gala trying to take that recipe and cook. He did a great job, but the mess he left is now being cleaned up with $1.2 million in capital funding. So thank you. All I'll say is, obviously, you're investing in higher ed by making these commitments. You're investing in great, phenomenal projects in each of the campuses. But the dollars invested at the City University of New York and capital, there's no dollar that you're going to put in as borough president that's going to last, is going to give more. You're creating jobs. All those announcements made today are going to create jobs, many for residents here at Queens when we need them. And there are no facilities, and we know this in all our campuses, that are used as much and take the beating than the facilities of the City University of New York, because they're open to our students, to our faculty, to our staff. They're open to the communities. All those labs that you're announcing today will be used by our students, but by the DOE students who will be doing partnerships in science, in all those fields. And when they do them, with whom they do it? They do it with the local CUNY campus that's close to their school, right? So all those facilities, the track at York is going to be used by students, by the community. And you can say that of every piece of facilities at the City University of New York, that they serve the purpose of that campus, but they give out so much more. Think about early voting, right? It is on our campuses where that occurs. So the investment made at the City University of New York, when you do it, because we are such anchor institutions and we do so much for the community, has an incredible multiplying effect. So I commend you, Borough President, for that vision and for that support. Look forward to working with you for many more years to come. Thank you also for your help in the lobbying process with the city, with the city budget. We did the testimony last Friday, so we need all your support, particularly for the funding for our community colleges, which serve such an important role in our communities and are feeders to our four-year schools. So again, thank you. It is great. I am happy to see so many familiar faces, but clearly Betsy and Jeff and Zico and Jay, who suffer with me for many years. I thank them, and thank you so much for your support. And back to President Wu, to you for the rest of the program.
Yes, ma'am.
That's you. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. And of course, we have to shout out Jay. I call him Jay. Good to see you. Next, we're going to hear from our president, Madam President of Queens College of the Student Association. Here's Zaire.
Thank you, Borough President Richards. It's an honor to be here, and I'm really excited to have the chance to use my student parking for the second time this year. On behalf of the almost, let me take off my mask. On behalf of the almost 20,000 students of Queens College I represent, and in support of the tens of thousands more from your college, Queensborough and Laguardia Community College, we thank you and your team for your inspiring vision, your strong commitment, and your important announcement of investment in the community campuses of Queens County. We, the elected student government, Kayla Kemp, newly elected Student Association Vice President, Jamal Mark, a sophomore, newly elected Student Association Senator, join you, elected officials, the Chancellor, President Wu, college presidents, faculty, and staff, thank you, Professor Vaca, and celebrating your investment in the quality of our lives. What you're doing here today, Borough President Richards, is sending a clear signal that CUNY colleges and CUNY are closely tied to the future of our bio, to the future of our borough, and to higher education dreams of students and families that deserve modern facilities. Especially because the challenges that we as students faced during the last year, your announcement is truly tied to the economic recovery of our students, our city, and our borough. This is because you know that we as students, future alumni, will repay the investment that you are making today many times over. It is because we know that we will do this through our service and the service of our families that are paying and will pay taxes for decades to come also. It is because you know that most of us will live or work in or near the great borough of Queens, strengthening our community through our careers and our civic contribution. You not only know what is needed, you're doing something about it. You appreciate that we are a major part of the recovery of New York, and the elected and community officials here are leading by helping to ensure that our borough remains #1 in access to affordable college education and modern campuses. You are setting the standard for the entire city to follow. So thank you again for your leadership, your advocacy on our behalf, and for standing with us as we strive to realize the motto of Queens College. We learn so that we may serve. Thank you very much.
Gotta watch my job now. To the rest of the council, thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your advocacy, State Senator, Vice President, thank you. We cannot do this without true partnerships, and I must say that the Queens City Council delegation is absolutely great. You can clap for that. Y'all want some money, y'all want some more, you better clap for it. But I will say that each and every, we don't do these things in a vacuum. It really takes partnership. And when we met with each and every, all 14 council members in Queens, oh, that sounds different, I used to be one. I can tell you that each and every one of your requests was certainly being prioritized amongst our delegation. So I want to thank our partners there. And I want to start by bringing up, I call him number 45 because he came back. Remember Michael Jordan was 23? Then he came back 45. So I call Jim Genero 45. That's not his age, by the way. But it is truly great to have a partner back in the council who we can work with. And I know he did so much for this campus prior to me probably being in the council, but he's been a great partner already. I want to bring up council member Jim Genero.
45. I wish. I wish. Thank you, Mr. Borough President. It's always a delight to be with you. It was great to serve with you in the council. It's great to be back serving with you and, you know, to help partner with you in your great embrace of higher ed here for CUNY. And one more big round of applause for the Borough President for everything he does. And he sat me down and said, Jim, this is what we're going to do, you know. You know, like, he said, I was a council member and I know how much you get in capital funding on a real big chunk of that for Queens College. And like, okay, we can do that. And yeah, so $500,000 of my money, you know, migrated or will migrate when we pass the budget into this process. And the least I could do. And also we're doing programmatic funding for a host of things at the college. You know, no one can say no to Frank Wu or to Jeff Rosenstock. And so, and there's such great guys. And then the president, like, rubbed it in by showing up personally at a fundraising race that my wife, who is the development director of Queens Centers for Progress, a great Queens nonprofit, also in this district, you know, showed up and ran and participated. And so I'm like, I got to give this guy money forever now, you know. But I you know, thank him for that. He's a great president and a great friend, and is going to have a, you know, wonderful tenure here at the college. I always like to thank people, and so I had a great relationship with then President Matos, now Chancellor Matos, when for many years. It's always a, you know, pleasure to see him and see what he's done for this entire system. Now, people have made reference to Jay. That's Jay Hershenson. Everyone knows that. But the last name has to be mentioned. He was always this ubiquitous president, this ubiquitous presence at City Hall. And so it was always like CUNY was in the room, because he was always there making the connections with council members. And that's good stuff, and that's how it's done. There's no better ambassador for CUNY than Jay. And thank you for everything you've done for these colleges. And Madam President Zaire, I hope you do not live in the 24th district. And so I'm going to have my hands full if you run against me. And so, yeah, that youth vote, you know. They've been mentioned before, but my great friend Barry Gradenchik in the council, we've known each other for so many years, and the guy who sat right next to me in the council, Jimmy Vaca, and man, did we have a lot of fun on other council members' expense with our little chatting back and forth. Do you believe what he's saying? Did you hear what he said? And so, yeah, we had a lot of fun. But speaking of fun, we're going to time travel now back to 1996, 25 years ago, when I first started teaching in this institution as an adjunct in the political science department. And then I moved over, well, I did that as well as teaching courses in the earth and environmental sciences department. I am a geologist, and so it was great to be able to teach here for 8 years, the last 2 of which I was a council member. And I was doing constituent services like while I was teaching, because people were like, my mom and pop don't have health insurance, and we, you know, we have hunger in our home, we have a situation with health care, and we can't get it. So I'd call over the Queens Hospital Center, make sure that family got fee scaled, that they knew how to do that. And so, you know, a lot of the students who come here, you know, working class Queens families with great challenges. They're looking after their studies, they're working full-time, they're taking care of their parents, in some cases, taking care of their siblings. I taught in the early mornings, I taught at night, and it was just a great privilege to be able to be part of the lives of people who were not only trying to move themselves forward, but were doing so much for so many. So a round of applause for every student who has ever passed through the doors of this great university. And I think I've thanked everybody I wanted to thank. And I'm going to finish off with a funny story, okay? Everyone likes a funny story. So 2008, I'm running for this other office. I had some notion or whatever. And I was brought down here. I was brought over here to meet President Clinton. Okay, so there was a Congress member at the time who wanted to, introduce me to the president, and I thought I was going to have a nice photo op, and it was a nice photo op, and it was great. And then, and then in talking to him, and my team is around me, and back then I was running for the state senate. That didn't work out, but the president was talking to me. He said, I was just talking to Hillary this morning about how we're going to take back that state senate, and we got this. And she said, and he's Hillary, how are we going to do this? And he says, well, she said, we got this guy Jim Genero. He's going to bring it home. He's going to do it. And we were just talking about you over orange juice and toast this morning, and we had this great conversation about you. And so my staff was so blown away after that like the president and the first lady were talking about you over breakfast. And I'm like, no, they weren't. He just made that up. And they said, well, that's no good. I'm like, what do you mean no good? It's great. He wanted to make me feel at home and wanted to make me feel special, and he made up a story, and I felt terrific. I didn't believe it, but I certainly appreciated the gesture. I thought it was great. And so, and then we left, and then my campaign manager said, how did the Bill Clinton endorsement go? I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, after the photo op, you were supposed to go upstairs, and he was going to endorse you and Joe Dabo. And I'm like, it would have been nice if someone told me that, because after I had the photo op and heard the funny story about the orange juice and the toast, I left, So President Clinton endorsed me, in the student union, and I was too busy to hang around for it, So next time you're going to be endorsed by the sitting president of the United States, make sure you show up. And so with that said, it's really great to be here. One more special shout out to my great friend Jimmy Vaca. We had a lot of time. We had a lot of great times together. And the borough president and Felix and Frank and you all. I'm going to throw you all a big kiss, okay? Mwah, okay? Am I allowed to do that? Am I in trouble now? I hope not.
Wasn't that a great Bill Clinton impersonation? If this all ever failed, play him. Alrighty, it now brings me great honor to bring up a troublemaker, someone I sat next to in the city council, and the speaker of the council used to be like, shh, 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 just a little loud in that corner. But it is truly great to be back. I do miss him greatly. I don't get to see him as often. But Councilmember Barry Grodenchik, who puts his money where his mouth is and is just such a great person. And I want to thank you, brother.
You spell my name right, that's good. Is it afternoon? I think it's afternoon. Jim, that was a heck of a Clinton impression. I am really impressed. I've been spending my time over here counting the number of mentions that Jimmy Vaca has gotten, so I had to bring out my calculator. It's getting thick over. That's 5 now. I mentioned you too. I'll mention him again later, so maybe he'll get to a dozen by the time we're done. It's good to be home. It's not my district, but it is my home. I'm going to tell, can I tell a quick Phalo story? Can I tell a quick Phalo story before I thank the borough president? He did it. It's true. This is a true one. So soon after I was elected to the council and took office, Jeff Rosenstock, of course, called and he said, I'd like you to meet the president of Queens College, and I can't say no to Jeff. We were actually featured in the Separated at Birth. I think some of you who are old enough might remember that in the old Queens Tribune. So Phalo comes and was sitting there for about 45 minutes in my very small conference room. And I figured this guy's the president of Queens College. He's a busy person, you know, he's got things to do. And I said, Dr. Rodríguez, I said, is there anything I can do for you? Because we had just been, you know, basically BSing and, you know, and he said, no, we're here to see how we can help you. He walked out with over $100,000. That's how he helped me. So that's my Phalo story. He's always on the prowl. So when he comes to visit you, if you got money, be careful. Guard your purse. I'm here today to thank Borough President Donovan Richards, Jr. There's a D3 now, as we call him, and maybe he'll go here. But there is nothing more important in the lives of New Yorkers than the City University of New York. With the possible exception, I'll grant the New York City public school system a pass as well, and our subway. But it's up there in the pantheon of what makes New York City what it is today, the capital of the world. And, you know, we know all the people that have graduated. We know that the people that have gone on to great success, the Jerry Seinfelds of the world and the Simon and Garfunkels. But my family, I made a list, you know, I was thinking, you know, just how it's touched me. I grew up right across the street here. My address was Parsons Boulevard, but I was kind of in the middle in Pominock houses. And so for me, I did my first year here, but the commute was too far, so I transferred to Binghamton. My sister is a graduate of New York City Technical College. My other sister took about 100 credits here. My brother took his last 4 credits for his degree from Buffalo University here. My father, after he retired, took about 90 credits here, all A's. My mother worked in the library part-time for almost 2 decades. My son is the most recent graduate of CUNY. He's a Queens College graduate last year. We couldn't figure out, though, if he was magna or summa cum laude. And my dear wife, who is a professor of math at Nassau Community College, has her PhD from the CUNY Graduate Center. So, and that's just my immediate family, my aunts, my uncles, my cousin Andrea is a graduate of Queens College, I think 1968. My aunt Beverly, still living in Belrose, almost 100 years old. She's voting for you, don't worry, okay? I don't want you to worry. So it's important. It's important that we do this. And, you know, Borough President Richards is keeping up a great tradition. I've worked for 3 borough presidents of Queens. My hero, Claire Schulman, God rest her soul. And many of you knew her. Another hero of mine, Helen Marshall, who was a graduate of Queens College. Another hero, Melinda Katz. A lot of women. You broke the string there. Another hero of mine, who all did wonderful things. I won't tell you, Borough President, that Helen Marshall in 12 years did $66 million in capital funding for the City University of New York. I think all of it here in Queens, which is to be expected since she was the Borough President of Queens. So you're living up to the legacy that others who came before you have established. And we understand how important this is. Did I mention Jimmy Vaca? Yes, okay. Just want to make sure. Jay Hershenson, everybody knows Jay. Vitamin J, as I sometimes refer to him. Where's Katowski today? He's doing great. I just want to make sure he knows I gave him a shout out. Even if John Katowski comes near you, make sure that your pockets are sewn shut, because he has extracted more money from more council members over the centuries than probably anybody else. Borough President, when I was a little boy, and maybe not such a little boy, there was no student union here. When I was growing up across the street, I watched them build this building. As I watched them build a new science building, as I watched them build the Rosenthal Library and the clock tower dedicated to Schwarney, Goodman, and Chayman, who were murdered fighting for civil rights in Mississippi, immortalized in the movie Mississippi Burning. And so I've seen how far this campus has come, and I have designated, almost not as much as Genero, he's got more money than me, I gotta watch out for him. I have designated funding for several CUNY institutions. Dr. Mangino is smiling, Dr. Wu. And we're going to continue to do that as we come to the budget in another 5 weeks. As the borough president said, there's going to be hard negotiations when it comes to CUNY. This is the portal to greatness for so many New Yorkers who have gone on from this great school and all the CUNY campuses to do so many wonderful things. And I'm going to make one last pitch. Dr. Robert Kahn, the co-inventor of what became the heart of the internet, was a CCC and CUNY, a City University graduate. I only know that because he grew up in my synagogue in Flushing, but he has never gotten an honorary doctorate from CUNY. He's gotten every award there is to get. He's gotten honorary doctorates all over the world, so it's getting to be time. But he has his BE, Bachelor of Electronic Engineering, he has PhD from Princeton. When you go on the internet, which every one of us does every single day, it was a CUNY graduate who led the way. Thank you. God bless you all. And thank you, Borough President.
Thank you, Barry. It's good to know you've been around so long. You saw every building get built here, huh? I have to also say that my sister graduated from Queens College. Mother-in-law graduated from York College. Wife has graduated from Borough, and she also did some classes at York. So, since you ran into family history. All right, it brings me great honor now to bring up, we're going to bring up our colleges now, our representation here. We'll start with the president of York College, Berenicia Johnson-Eanes. President, say some words.
If I can get out of my mask, and I'll be ready. Sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the gift for York College on behalf of the faculty, staff, and the students of our wonderful institution, Borough President and Chancellor. We so much appreciate it. As you all know, we are in the heart of Jamaica, Queens, and we are excited about what is going to happen with that track and field. That program is long overdue. And I was reminded on my arrival that I needed to have a ribbon cutting sometime soon and get some young people of our community and our students on that track and field. So thank you for the support. It is a deep investment in just the beginning of what we are now calling our One York agenda. We are very focused on making sure that all the work we do is connected to our new strategic plan and to the broader plan that CUNY has for educating this area and making sure we give back to the community. Madam President, thank you for your leadership. Thank you to all of you all. And as usual, thank you, and I appreciate it.
And let me just say how meaningful it was for me to put money into this project. You know, every time I would get on the LIRR to go into Manhattan when I was a city council member, I would be so peeved at the condition that that track was in. And it, you know, and everybody had to ride in who was coming in from Long Island or coming in from the city, and they would see that. And I often would say, this is a stain on our community. We need to make sure that all of our institutions are being invested in properly and that our children have access to the best. Our young people have access to the best. I'm only 38, so. So thank you. All right, next, we're going to hear from Christine Mangino, the president of Queensborough Community College.
Thank you. I want to extend our thanks to the Borough President for his support and for Councilmember Grodenchik for his ongoing support. Our faculty and students are really proud of our undergraduate research that we do on our campus with our students, and the students end up going with faculty to present at conferences across the country. They publish prior to graduating. But we're limited to the fact that we only have 2 chemistry labs on campus that are, already filled with classes. So, thankfully, our sister institutions, Queens College being one, the College of Staten Island, allow our faculty to use their labs. But as you can imagine, that's not convenient, right? So, opening up an additional chemistry lab will enable additional students to participate in undergraduate research. And then the ADA bathrooms, as you mentioned, we have the highest number of students with disabilities at Queensborough, and we have 50 bathrooms that need the work. So it's an ongoing project. So thank you again for all of your support for both of you.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from, wait, acting president today? Okay. And my sister also started at Laguardia Community College and graduated and then came to Queens. So it is great to hear from Sunil Gupta, vice president of Laguardia Community College and also president of CUNY all day. Good luck with that.
Thank you, Borough President Richards. Thank you, Chancellor. On behalf of our college, our students, our faculty, and behalf of our president, Kenneth Adams, we greatly appreciate your generous gift. As you know, LaGuardia graduates some of the highest number of STEM discipline students, and as we are building more equitable jobs in our borough, this lab that you have supported, our occupational therapy, will help towards that goal. Thank you again. Thanks.
All right, thank you. So I'll just have some final acknowledgements. Of course, I have to acknowledge Jeff Rosenstock. Thank you so much. These have been friends for years. We mentioned Jay Hershenson. Of course, Jimmy Vaca. Do we have to, I guess I have to do that again. My staff wrote it out. Leon Zapita, the manager of marketing at Queens College. Thank you. And of course, to my budget director, Amanda Minicini. If you can stand up. Where are you? Oh, I'm blind. I mean, I'm not that blind. Oh, there you go. Okay. My glasses were like misreading me. But yes, she is the person you call and get in touch with. And she really did a phenomenal job at advocating for CUNY Inside as well. So I want to thank her for her leadership as well. Thank you all. Have a great day. Congratulations, CUNY.